Canadians starving, while billions are sent abroad and no help ever comes back. Plus, the elephant in the sky. Welcome back to Wake Up Canada News. I'm Brad Wilder. This next article was researched and written by one of our Wake Up Canada News contributing reporters. Ever look around? We don't mean to paint this vivid picture, but every city in Canada has tent cities growing daily. Families wait in line at food banks daily, children go hungry, seniors scrape by, mental health services are collapsing. And what does the government give us? Almost nothing. Meager benefits, token programs, scraps that barely keep people from falling through the cracks. Now here's the part nobody likes to talk about. Canada receives zero money from any other country in the world to help its poor, its homeless, its starving, or its lower income citizens. Not a penny. No one else is footing the bill for Canadian citizens. Every dollar spent here comes from Canadian taxpayers. Every cent of aid we get from the world is for someone else, somewhere else, not for us. Meanwhile, billions of your hard-earned tax dollars are sent abroad, not to save lives, not to help the vulnerable, but to fight wars, fund foreign governments, and prop up international conflicts. In 2024 alone, Canada sent roughly $7 to $8 billion overseas. That's billions for foreign aid, while domestic support for housing, food security, even social programs remains negligible. Think about it. The help at home is almost invisible, but the money flowing out is massive. And it's going to fund wars, violence, and political influence, not human lives. Canadians struggle, sleep in tents, line up at food banks, and face a cost of living crisis, while the government proudly hands our money to other countries. This is not just wrong. It's a betrayal of every Canadian who works hard, pays taxes, and expects their government to put its own people first. There's no foreign help coming. Zero. Nada. Zilch. So why the fuck are we giving our money away? To prop up wars and foreign elites when Canadians are starving and homeless in their own cities. It's time to demand answers. It's time to demand accountability, because until we do, the tent cities are going to keep growing, food banks will keep struggling, and Canadians will keep being left behind in their own country while their taxes line foreign pockets. In other news, the elephant in the sky. For decades, we've been told to ignore our own eyes. We're lectured like children that the long-lasting white lines turning the sky into a smeared grid are just condensation. We were mocked, ridiculed, dismissed as though questioning what's directly overhead is a sign of mental illness. Meanwhile, the people pushing those narratives never answer the simplest question of all. If it's just water vapor, then why is it acting like anything but water vapor? Dane Wigington asked that question almost 30 years ago, not as an activist, not as a conspiracy theorist, but as a homeowner living off the grid who suddenly watched his solar power get swallowed by artificial haze. Some days, up to 70% of his solar output vanished. No clouds, no fog, something else. Something coming from above. So Dane did what actual investigators do. He tested the rainwater. And that's where the story stops being a curiosity and becomes an outrage. The rain wasn't normal. It was contaminated. In his first rainwater test, Dane found 7 parts per billion of bioavailable aluminum, a metal that does not belong in rainfall, soil, or even lungs. Over the next 18 months, the levels skyrocketed. He recorded single storm events containing 3,450 parts per billion of aluminum. That's not trace. That's not unfortunate background pollution. That's deliberate scale contamination. And aluminum wasn't the only thing falling out of the sky. Across hundreds of lab tests, many done with the University of Minnesota and other recognized institutions, Dane found aluminum nanoparticles toxic to all forms of life. Barium, strontium, manganese, surfactants, polymer fibers, graphene nanoparticles. These aren't the ingredients of condensation. They're the ingredients of a program no one asked for, no one voted on, and no one is allowed to talk about, it seems. The gag orders really do tell a real story. If everything is harmless, then explain this. Why is there a federal gag order on the National Weather Service and NOAA? Why were meteorologists threatened into silence? Why did an NOAA scientist admit privately that we all know this is going on? We have no First Amendment protection. We don't know what to do. Because the moment anyone acknowledges the elephant in the sky, the entire official narrative collapses. The official story is the real conspiracy. Governments and global climate circles openly discuss solar radiation management, stratospheric aerosol injection, and albedo modification. They publish research papers on spraying reflective particles into the atmosphere using aircraft. But the second the public notices the sky already looks like a chemical barcode, they're told, "Don't be ridiculous. You're imagining it." This is gaslighting on a planetary scale. The damage, silent and widespread. What happens when you aerosolize aluminum, a neurotoxin, into particles small enough to stay suspended in air, say small enough to breathe, small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier even? What happens when that dust coats forests, soil, crops, waterways? Findings point to soil pH disruption, tree decline in forests die off, reduced agricultural yields, respiratory illnesses linked to fine particles, reduced solar energy output everywhere, contaminated snowfall and rain in rural regions far from industry. If this were coming from a factory, the world would scream bloody murder. If it were coming from a hostile nation, it'd be called an act of war. But because it's coming from above, silently, without debate, we're supposed to pretend it isn't happening. The real danger isn't just the material, it's the silence. Dane's tests reveal a simple, infuriating truth. Something is being put into our atmosphere that does not belong there, and those responsible refuse to acknowledge it, explain it, or stop it. That alone should make every citizen furious. When governments talk openly about aerosol programs but deny the existence of the very aerosols people can see, measure, and breathe, when the people tasked with monitoring weather are legally forbidden from speaking openly, when rainwater is testing positive for metals associated with geoengineering patents, the question stops being, is something happening, and becomes, why are we being lied to about it, and why are we not doing anything about it? Thanks for watching Wake Up Canada News. Please like, share, and follow us on any of your favorite socials, including Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and our website at wakeupcanadanews.com. Till next time, hey, remember you're the voice, and it's time to make it count. I'm Brad Wilder. I'll see you soon.